Hi, I'm Paul Drew. I'm a producer, mix engineer, songwriter from the UK. This video is for Studio One users who are new to Revoice Pro. I'm going to show you in the 3 sections of this video how to get the Studio One audio you want to process quickly into Revoice Pro, how Revoice Pro can quickly tune, tighten and create double tracks, and lastly, how to get the audio processed in Revoice Pro back to Studio One. I'm going to start the Revoice Pro standalone program. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to change the screen here so both Revoice Pro and Studio One fit to the same screen. Now, if we open up our settings in Revoice Pro, go View, Settings, and go back to Studio One and open our Preferences, Song Setup. We need to match the same settings in Studio One to Revoice Pro. It's important to match these settings, as when we copy audio between the 2 programs, the audio copies to the correct bar and beat. So as you can see in Studio One, we're working from 25 frames per second. So we need to change our timecode rate here to 25 frames per second. Our display offset is set to 0, 0. So we need to change the 1 here to a 0. Our tempo in Studio One is 100 BPM. So I'm going to change this to 100 BPM. And we're just going to change the copy and paste DAW settings to Studio One 3 and later. We simply then just close the windows. If we want to keep these settings as a default session, we go to File and Save as Default Session. So let's hear the track we're going to be working with. As you will hear, the lead vocal has a tuning issue, and also the doubles in lead 2 and 3 have timing and tuning issues. So let's solo them all and listen again.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it, nothing at all. So twisted and broken, lost in the storm.
So first of all, what I want to do is to get the audio into Revoice Pro. Starting with the latest Revoice Pro 3.2 release, the way that you transfer audio events from a track in Studio One to a track in Revoice Pro 3 is to simply use copy and paste instead of using plugins. Let's show you how. As I'm working bars and beats in Studio One, I'm just going to change this setting here to bars and beats. To transfer the Studio One audio in the first 3 tracks to Revoice Pro, simply select in one track all the events you want to transfer. Select Copy, then click in the destination track in Revoice Pro and select Paste to put all the captured events into the selected track. Notice that for each track, Revoice Pro will display the name of the first copied audio file in the track name here. In track 2, we have 3 events, which I can copy and paste into Revoice Pro like this. You can select as many events as you want in each copy track operation, but don't try to transfer more than 1 track at a time, because that won't work. And lastly, I'm going to copy and paste track 3. In this section, we'll show you how quickly Revoice Pro can process the time and pitch of the audio and create corrected versions of the lead voice, but also a new stereo double track of the harmony. Now that we've got the audio into Revoice Pro, let's hear it.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it, nothing at all. So twisted and broken, lost in the storm.
First, I'm going to fix a pitch issue on the lead vox. If I right click here and choose Make Warp Region, I can push this button here to zoom in. Let's solo this track. Now let's hear the problem again.
My heart is an ocean.
Okay, so that notes the problem there. So let's push that up a semitone here. And let's hear that again.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it.
I'm going to push this button here and return back to the multitrack screen. Now we're going to make the audio in both LeadVox 2 and 3 match the timing and pitch of the guide in LeadVox 1, which we know has the correct timing and pitch. What I need to do now is to create an APT, which stands for Audio Performance Transfer Process. To do this, I need to create 2 output tracks. I'm going to name them Output 1. And I'm going to create 2 tracks here and push Add. I'm going to use the R key to zoom out so we get the waveform in full screen. Now I'm going to create an APT by pushing the B key. And I'm going to select APT. I'm going to change the preset to vocal slightly loose, time and pitch. My guide, which is my LeadVox, which is LeadVox 1 in brackets 4 as you can see. My dub, which is LeadVox 2. Although we could process LeadVox 1 and 2 one at a time, we're going to show you that you can process both the double tracks at the same time. So we click here to fix the track's offsets. I make sure the output is on output 1, and I'm going to create multiple processes as I'm doing 2 tracks. So I'm going to make this 2. And now I click New Process. I'm just going to remind you how it sounded before we fix the tracks.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it, nothing at all. So twisted and broken, lost in the storm.
And now I'm going to play the fixed tracks by pressing the spacebar to render the output and play the guide input and the 2 output tracks.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it, nothing at all. So twisted and broken, lost in the storm.
So now I'm going to create a stereo harmony from a mono harmony that I have here in Studio One. So let's create a new track. And I'm going to call this Harm 1. I'm also going to create an output track, and I'm going to call this Out 3. So let's bring in the harmony the same way as we did before. Click on the file, copy, click onto Harm 1, and paste. I'm going to push the B key again, and this time I'm going to choose Doubler. I'm going to choose a preset, Stereo Vocal Loose Timing. My input is Harm 1, and my output is Out 3. I now just push New Process. So now let's just play back the process file.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it, nothing at all.
Just to remind you, this was just a mono file. So let's just play that back on its own.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it, nothing at all.
And now let's bring in the process track.
So twisted and broken, lost in the storm.
And now let's bring in the rest of the tracks that have been processed by Revoice Pro.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it, nothing at all. So twisted and broken, lost in the storm.
So now what I want to do is to get the tracks back into Studio One. So what I'm going to do here is to create a new layer for the tracks in Studio One. If I highlight the tracks that I want, right click, go to Layers, Add Layer. I'm going to leave the mono harmonies as I still want this track. And I'm going to copy the files back now into Studio One. If I hold down Shift and Alt, when I see the file icon appear, release the Shift and Alt keys and drag back into Studio One. Now let's do this for LeadVox 2, which is my output one. Shift and Alt, when I see the file icon appear, release the Shift and Alt keys and drag back into Studio One. Now my output 2 is my LeadVox 3. Shift and Alt, when I see the file icon appear, release the Shift and Alt keys and copy back into Studio One. Now I still want this Harmony 1 track here, so I'm going to create a new track so I can copy my stereo harmony back from Revoice Pro into Studio One. I push the T key. I'm going to call it stereo harmony. Click OK. Click on the file, Shift and Alt. Release the Shift and Alt keys when I see the file icon appear and drag back into Studio One. So as you can see that all the audio that I've dragged back from Revoice Pro is not in all the correct starting places. So there is one more step to fix this. So if I highlight all my tracks, go to Edit, move to Origin, the files are back to the correct timecode as they started in Studio One. So let's hear them all together.
My heart is an ocean, nothing can save it, nothing at all. So twisted and broken, lost in the storm.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.